to Olfactofiles. Long time no see. I'm Tara, and today I have all of my rose fragrances for you. I'm actually going to rank them, and I'm just really excited to be filming because it's been a minute. My work is very busy. However, there are only 3 weeks left until summer break, which is super exciting. I cannot wait to not work. I still have to do some work, but you know what I mean. So anyway, before we get started, if you're wondering, gee, did Tara's hair grow like 3 inches since the last time she filmed? Yes, that's exactly what happened, and there is no other possible explanation. So anyway, today we're going to do my rose fragrances. Like I said, we're gonna rank them. I have 13 here, so we're gonna go from number 13 all the way to number 1. And all of these are rose-centric, so like rose is kind of the main player. And I figured I would go that route because if I included all of my fragrances that have rose in them, I would just like end up filming, I don't know, like a third of my collection, which would be insane. So we're gonna start off today with one that's marketed towards men. This is Moschino's Toy Boy. So Toy Boy was created by Jan Vasnier, and this is definitely, I think, a unisex fragrance. It has sort of a darkness to it with the rose and like some spices. Like I think there's pepper, clove, nutmeg. And then there's like a touch of fruit and then this sort of almost like a dry hay-like vetiver that's in here, which does, you know, kind of pull it back more towards the masculine side. Although I think the rose in here is definitely a more unisex style of rose. It's not, you know, light or watery. And like I said, I think that the spices really give it that unisex vibe. I think definitely the advertising for this does a good job portraying sort of the style of the fragrance. It to me is a bit edgy, it's unique, it's definitely not your typical designer fragrance. And if you do like those darker, more powerful and like sort of, like I said, spicy, peppery styles of florals, then I think that Toy Boy might be a good one for you to try. It's not very expensive if you get them from the discounters as well. I think I paid like maybe for 30, it wasn't even 40, it was like just under 40 for this 50 milliliter bottle. In the number 12 spot is one from Lush. This is one of their most popular fragrances, I think, and it is, of course, Rose Jam. So Rose Jam is very, very powerful, first of all. Unfortunately, I don't know who the perfumer is. It might be Simon Constantine because he's done a lot of their fragrances, but I couldn't find the information anywhere. So I think Rose Jam is an appropriate name. It is this jammy sweet rose. I think it has geranium and lemon as well. There's like a citrusy kind of opening. This is very sweet though. And this is kind of why this is towards the bottom of my list. It actually, and same with the Moschino, like these are ones that I don't feel like I would reach for as much, even though I do like them. Like I still own them because I like them. But this is so strong. In fact, many people say they just get the body spray of Rose Jam instead of the perfume because the body spray performs like a normal EDP, whereas this performs like insane. Like it's just like so powerful. And you just put on a couple sprays and you can smell all day long and it projects. And if you overspray this, I feel like it would make you nauseated because it is very, very much a Rose Jam sweet style fragrance. It's not overly cloying in small quantities, but it can be. So just be aware of that. This little 1 ounce bottle will last me forever because I really don't spray very much when I wear this, mostly so that I don't get sick. But I do like the smell of it a lot. I also love the shower gel. If I were to go back and repurchase, I think I would just go with the body spray instead so that it wouldn't be quite as like powerful. But still, I really like it. So that one is Rose Jam. In the number 11 spot is one from Terry de Gunsberg, or the brand by Terry, which is most popular for its makeup. But this one is called Rouge Nocturne, and it was created by Michel Almeric. Just in full transparency, this was gifted to me by Skin Store, not for this video, just previously I received it. All the rest I paid for though, but just to be very clear. So anyway, Rouge Nocturne is a rose patchouli style fragrance. I think there's a little bit of an amberiness to it, but it's the style of amber that goes powdery because this definitely goes a bit powdery on my skin. Not to the point that I dislike it, but it's like this, like sort of like a dusty, not like old, but like a dusty powdery sort of rose. With a bit of patchouli that gives it a slight bit of earthiness. This is more of an earthy patchouli, which isn't always my style, but because it's not the main player here, that like ambery powdery rose is the main player here, I can tolerate it in this particular fragrance. It could be a sensual kind of fragrance. I mean, it has the name Rouge Nocturne, so I think that's what they're going for, but it is very deep. And even though it's powdery, it's not powdery in that, you know, fresh baby doll kind of way. It's a little bit like I said, like kind of like if you're going out for a night out and you've put your powder on with your makeup, and you're clean, but then you spray on like some beautiful, why did I just do that? What a weirdo. I'm gonna smell it through osmosis by putting my nose on it. God, what a freaking weirdo. Anyway, so yeah, it's like you've gotten ready and then you put on your rose fragrance, or maybe you have like a bouquet of red roses. And yeah, it's that combination of that powder with the rose. Really nice. I do quite like it. Sometimes, or like when I was doing my list, I was debating putting it higher, but I really like all the rest, and it got really hard. So anyway, that's number 11, and it is Rouge Nocturne. I'm already doubting my order here because as I'm smelling these again, I'm like, but I love all of these. But the one that I've decided to put in number 10 is from Amouage, and this is Lyric Woman. I think that a lot of men actually would enjoy this one as well, even though Amouage, they do tend to do like a women's line and a men's line for the most part. But this one, I think, so far actually, all of them that I've talked about, I think really are unisex, even though they might be marketed as, you know, feminine or masculine. Anyway, so Lyric Woman was created by, is it Daniel Morel, I think is his name. And this is like a rose incensey style fragrance. It is another really strong performer. Actually, I think that the bottom 4 here all are very, very strong. And that's probably part of the reason why they ended up lower. They're ones that I don't reach for as much because they are so powerful that you have to be selective as to when you're going to wear them. Now, what I really like about Lyric Woman is that even though it has that incense, I think there's some spices too, like maybe a touch of, I think it's cinnamon and cardamom that are in here. It also has this touch of creaminess that I think comes from sandalwood, some sort of like a woody creaminess in here that rounds it out a little bit nicer. So it's not screechy or overly like spicy or anything. But like I said, this is powerful. This is a dark like scent. I know the bottle's dark, but like it actually, when I smell it, I smell like, or I get the feeling of like dark, very dark red or maroon sort of velvety fabric is kind of what I see when I smell this. And like I said, you have to be selective about when you're going to wear this. This is definitely more of a night out kind of fragrance, and one that I think would be good for a date night in particular, because again, I think this one and the last are a little bit more like sensual than the first two. So that one is Lyric Woman from Amouage. In the number 9 spot, I have one from L'Orchestre Parfum. This is called Rose Trombone. And Rose Trombone was created by Amélie, is it Bourgeois or Bourgeois? I don't know. And also Anne-Sophie Bahagel, they both together created this. The reason why this is kind of, I mean, I guess it's not towards the bottom, but in the middle of the list is because it's very formal to me. It's like a fragrance that, you know, it's a bit maybe more mature. Not that it smells like an old lady by any means, or that even matters. Like, I'll smell like old ladies. I know a lot of good smelling old ladies, but it's not like that. It's like, I feel like, to me, when I picture who would wear this, it's like a very elegant, but at the same time confident and powerful woman, and her, like my age, like maybe late 30s to 50s is kind of who I picture. You know, and very much like well-mannered, but assertive, because this fragrance, it's not as powerful as the last ones I talked about, but to me, it still is very assertive. This one has obviously the rose in there, but it has like aldehydes. I think there's a bit of sandalwood. There's a slight touch of a booziness to it. I don't remember what it is specifically, but there's a little bit of that to it. I also get a touch of muskiness, but like a, you know, more of a clean musk in the dry down. But I think the aldehydes kind of lift this up, and I think that might be what contributes to me perceiving it as being quite formal and more mature. Anyway, though, I think this is a really great fragrance to wear to maybe some sort of like formal meeting, or even a formal event that's maybe not as much like where you'd be more flirty. This is not what I would consider flirtatious. Like I said, I think it's very assertive. So any occasion where you want to exude like confidence and formality, I think that this would be a great selection. So again, that's called Rose Trombone, and it's from L'Orchestre Parfum. Next up is one created by Francis Kurkdjian. However, it is not from his line. This is from Nina Ricci, and it is called L'Extase Eau de Parfum Rose Absolue. And this one, a lot of people say, reminds them of Oud Satin Mood. Now, I don't currently own Oud Satin Mood, but I have owned it in the past and I've worn it many times. And I would say this is a little bit lighter version of it. Oud Satin Mood's a really nice fragrance, but it became a little bit overwhelming. Like when you say beast mode, like when people say that, first of all, I hate that term. And I think a lot of you know that. But when people say that, Oud Satin Mood is like one of the first things that comes to my mind, because I mean, you barely spray any on and it's like, boom, like you smell forever. And it is like everyone's gonna smell you too. So I actually ended up getting rid of that because I found this, and this is similar. Like I said, it's not identical. It is similar though, but it's lighter. This is not as powerful, not as projecting, more of my style, because I tend not to go for those super loud fragrances most of the time. But it is a really great fragrance, even on its own, like separate from that. Now, if I remember correctly, this does not have oud in it, or it's not supposed to anyway. I think it's like, I get like a woodiness from it, like obviously rose, duh, like all these have rose, but I get like a woodiness to it. I think I get a touch of vanilla in here, and maybe even like something, maybe it's benzoin, like a resinous, slightly spicy vanilla quality to it. So it could be like benzoin or vanilla with some other things, or it could be both, I'm not sure. But I kind of get that vibe. So it has a little bit of a sweetness to it. Again, another great nighttime fragrance. In my opinion anyway, I think this would be a nice date night kind of fragrance, or just like, you know, nighttime in general. I do think that people would find it attractive. However, I like wearing this just for myself as well. And it's another one that isn't super expensive. I think on discounters, which actually I just saw this available on Fragrance Buy again recently, but I think it's like around $40, $45. And this is 50, no, it's actually 70 milliliters, I believe. Is that? No, 80. Jeez, there you go. It's 80 milliliters for around $40, $45. So not bad at all. It's really nice, a great, more affordable alternative for Oud Satin Mood, or if you're like me and found that to be too much, then this might be a good option. Next up is one of the perfumes that I feel like most people would expect on a rose list, or one of maybe a few you might expect on a rose list. This is Stella by Stella McCartney. And I actually have one of the older versions. You can tell by this silver cap here. The newer ones, this trim will be gold instead of silver. However, I have also owned the newer version, and I think it's still very beautiful. I just ever so slightly prefer the older one. This one was created by Jacques Cavalier-Beltrude, maybe is how you say his name. But this is like a soft, watery, pinky style rose. I actually think it might be rose and peony combined, because that kind of gives me that pink rose sort of vibe. And then it does have in the opening a little bit of citrus. I can't remember exactly what it is, and I can't place it by the smell. I would venture it's more of an orange citrus than lemon or lime. But there's that citrus in there that makes it a little bit brighter in the opening. And then it also has a tiny touch of, again, a slightly powdery amber in the dry down. But to me, this is mostly about the rose peony sort of thing. And like I said, it is more on the watery kind of side, which is actually a style of rose that I quite enjoy. It's one of my more favorite styles of rose. So yeah, that's Stella by Stella McCartney. Probably most of you have heard of this fragrance before, if not already tried it or own it. But this is just an easy everyday kind of wear. I think this is, you know, for many people was a signature scent back in the day, could still be if that's your thing and you do signature scents. I don't, but this is definitely an easy reach kind of fragrance. All right, now we are on to number 6. And of course, we're going to have a rose oud combo in this list, because like, are you even a YouTuber if you don't have a rose oud fragrance, right? Like, come on. So anyway, like I mentioned, I got rid of Oud Satin Mood, but it's partially because I got the Nina Ricci, also partially because I found a Rose Oud combo that I prefer. Actually, I found a few other ones that I prefer, but this is the one that I currently own that I really enjoy. This is from Prada's Olfactofiles collection. Bottles are amazing, right? They're fabulous. This one was created by Daniela Andrier, and this is of course rose and oud. However, there are 3 other notes that you can definitely pick up in this. First of all, leather. There's definitely leather in this. I also get a touch of a dry tobacco, not like a sweet, wet tobacco, although there is a bit of sweetness in there, but more of a dry sort of tobacco. And then I think there's a touch of patchouli in here as well, because it just reminds me of other like rose patchouli combos to an extent. But yeah, you can definitely get the woodiness of the oud. You get, I mean, you can tell like as soon as you smell it, I shouldn't say like everyone can, but if you've smelled several rose oud combos before, I feel like you kind of know what that is when you smell it. And so I think you would immediately know it's rose and oud, but I do think that some of these other players in this fragrance stand out a lot, which means to me that this, again, is very unisex. Most of the ones, actually, I think everything except for the Stella. I think, you know, if a man wants to wear Stella, go for it. It smells lovely. But I think, you know, I think maybe people will perceive this as being a little bit more feminine. However, literally everything else I've talked about so far, I think anybody can pull off just fine. And I think the Stella too, but especially everything else I think would be perceived as being unisex. And this one actually might even be considered to be somewhat masculine because of the leather and the tobacco in here. And you all know I love tobacco, so of course I had to get my hands on this, and I do really love it. So far, I think it is my favorite rose oud combo. So if you haven't tried it, you know, try to get a sample. These are hard to get samples of, but see if you can get a sample and give it a test if you're interested in rose oud combos. In my number 5 spot is one that is discontinued. I'm very sorry, and I think it's actually quite difficult to find. So if you haven't smelled this, probably not going to. Maybe you can track it down. But anyway, this is Viktor&Rolf's Dancing Roses. I don't know what in the world they were thinking discontinuing this. I mean, I get that the line didn't sell well, but this was the standout, I think, in most people's opinion, and it's amazing. This is a beautiful fragrance. It was created by my girl, Sonia Constant. I love her work. She has her own perfume house or brand that she creates called Ella K Perfumes. Not available in the US. And Sonia, if you're watching this, I'm sure you're not, but if you are, please make them available in the US because I really want to try your fragrances. I will blind buy them. I will, I promise you. Like, you will have a sale. I'll probably buy a couple. So I guarantee you, I will buy your fragrances if you bring them to the US. Anyway, let's stop sucking up to Sonia and talk about Dancing Roses. So Dancing Roses from the Magic Collection actually has a cherry liqueur sort of prominence to it in the opening. However, of course, it says Dancing Roses because rose is a big player here as well. I do get more of the cherry in the opening though. When I first tried this, like last year when I first got it, it was about a year ago actually when I got this, I didn't pick up the cherry liqueur as much, but the more I've worn it, the more that really stands out to me. This also has a detectable note of lychee, although it's more of a watery kind of lychee. It's more in the background. It's not as prominent as it is in some other popular rose lychee combos. There's also, I think, a bit of pink pepper and I think it's saffron that's in here, but that's nearly undetectable to me. I do get the pink pepper, but the saffron is like very, very minimal. And I honestly like knowing that it's supposed to be there, I can say like, yeah, I think it's there. But like I would have never guessed it. So just to be clear, mostly I get the cherry liqueur with the roses. It's like if you make a cocktail with some sort of cherry liqueur, maybe you have like a little bit of brandy in there, and then you like, I don't know why you would. I guess you can eat roses, so it would be okay to garnish it, but you would like garnish it with rose petals. That's what it smells like. So anyway, I love this one and I'm very sorry to include it here, but it's a bottle I own and I am ranking my rose fragrances and this is one of them. So I figured I would include it and it comes in at the number 5 spot. In the number 4 spot is a fragrance from a house that I really appreciate what they're doing. The house is called Essential Parfums and this is Rose Magnetic. This was created by Sophie Labbe, which first of all, I love that they put the perfumers' names on here. So you know, I think that's great. I think we should be giving credit to the perfumers. Basically what this house does is that they collaborate with a bunch of different perfumers, or they hire different perfumers, several that you would know. For example, like Quentin Biche has one in there. But this one here is their Rose fragrance. All of these, they come in like very recyclable, like eco-friendly packaging, which I also really like. However, I think the thing that I like the most is the price point. For 100 mils on Lucky's scent, I think they're around $75, which is going to be, for that volume of perfume or that volume of fragrance, it's going to be one of the most affordable you can find on Lucky's scent, or just kind of in general for niche fragrances. So this is a beautiful watery rose fragrance, again, in the same style as Stella to me. So if you enjoy Stella, like you've smelled that, I think you will definitely enjoy this. I actually obviously prefer this to Stella. This is another rose lychee combo, but it has like a muskiness. I think that there's supposed to be tonka in here too. I wouldn't guess that, except for sometimes to me, let me know if this happens with you. Sometimes for me, tonka pulls a little bit cherry-like. Like sometimes I'll smell tonka fragrances, and it gives me sort of a cherry vibe, or sometimes even can go almondy. And sometimes it can be more spicy too. But if like what I detect as sort of an almondy cherry kind of vibe to this is actually tonka, then I could see it. So I do believe there's supposed to be tonka in here, but I would not have guessed it because it leans more, like I said, maybe like a slight touch of something like cherry or almondy in here, but it's like that's minimal. So the main thing that I get is the rose, the lychee, and then musk. Definitely like a white musk base to this fragrance. I really, really love it. Tiny bit sweet. Maybe there's a touch of vanilla, but it's beautiful. It's another one you could wear every single day. I think that it would work great. Perhaps in the wintertime, it would get a little bit lost because it is somewhat of a light fragrance, but I just really love it. I think it's beautiful. And there were a few from this line that I considered buying. I might actually end up buying more eventually, but if you haven't checked out Essential Parfums, definitely check them out. They do have a discovery set, which is what I purchased first to test everything. And this is the one I like the most thus far. In the number 3 spot is another, what I would consider a watery rose style fragrance. This is from Christian Dior, and it is Gris Dior. This was previously called Gris Montaigne, and to me, this one didn't change very much in the 2018 reformulation because I did have a fairly decent sized decant of Gris Montaigne that I went through quite a while ago. And then I wanted to buy it, but it was like right when they were switching, and I was like, oh, I'm a little nervous. So anyway, I waited. And then I got a sample of this one and I was like, oh, it smells like what I remember Gris Montaigne smelling like. So anyway, I think that this one survived the reformulation just fine. It's still a beautiful fragrance. Now this one is a rose fragrance that actually I think shares, like it kind of has a co-star with it. To me, the oak moss in here is almost in equal quantity as the rose. And in fact, sometimes it feels like that comes out even more than the rose on my skin. Another one that I think is perfectly unisex. I think men could definitely pull this off. I think there's a touch of patchouli in here as well. Just a little bit. And then it's not like that dirty kind of patchouli. It's just maybe more of like the woody green style patchouli that's in this one. There's also a bit of, I think it's bergamot, some sort of citrus in the opening that brightens it up a bit, and it has a woodiness to it as well. I would guess cedar, but I often think it's cedar and I'm not always right. So that's what I would guess. This is a beautiful fragrance. I think this is just such a gem. From the Dior collection. This Fève Ambre Nuit Spice Blend, that one's great. The Bois d'Argent I love. What else do I love from them? Tabaccoleur is not bad. The Purple Oud, that's a newish one. I liked that one fairly well also. I'm trying to think, there's another one I really like too, but I forgot now. Anyway, they have several that I enjoy, but this is definitely one of my more favorites from the Maison Christian Dior collection. We are nearly to the end, and I will tell you that the top spot was really difficult to decide, and I think I'm actually going to take some flack for what I picked as my number 1, but you know what, we'll get there in a minute. first, let's do number 2. And in the number 2 spot is actually a fairly new acquisition. However, I had a decant and then I also had like another sample. So I've actually given this probably 4 to 5 full wearings now. This is from Andy Tower, or I think his brand is just called Tower, but it's called Une Rose de Kandahar. And this does not come in the blue bottles like you normally see. This comes in a clear bottle, and you can see the liquid is kind of this greenish color, which maybe you would not expect for a rose fragrance, but it is a rose fragrance. This is another one where I feel like Rose has some co-stars, actually more than one co-star here, because I feel like there are a few things that come out to me in near equal quantities as the rose. Definitely I get the rose. It's like a powdery rose, but there's also this like sort of bitter almond vibe to it. There's a touch of like a muskiness to it. I definitely get what I think is ambergris, and I'm sure it's probably actual ambergris considering it's Tower and he doesn't mess around. He makes very good quality fragrances because it does give me sort of that animalic sea vibe, but like again, it's not like overly animalic by any means. I would not call this an animalic fragrance. I actually think this is a very beautiful, classy fragrance. It has like this airiness to it. Like when I wear it, it feels almost ethereal in a way, not angelic, but like, I don't know, just kind of this ethereal aura to it. I really enjoy it. I do think there's a touch of tobacco in here. There could be some other things going on as well. There could be vanilla, there could be some spices. I'm not positive, but I do think that there is sort of a touch of that sort of green, drier style of tobacco again. But yeah, this is beautiful. So I think if you mostly like rose, musk, ambergris, and almond, I think those 4 notes to me really kind of stand out. So if you like those particular notes, you might be interested in this one. Definitely get a sample. So I got my, where did I get my sample? I think I got my original sample from Tiger Lily. And then I got another sample when I purchased the bottle. So I went through the one from Tiger Lily, loved it. Purchased the bottle from Small Flower, which is the online house or online shop for Merz Apothecary out of Chicago. And I'm very familiar with them because I used to live in Chicago. Anyway, so they often do 10% off. So I got 10% off plus what they do now, and I don't know that they always did this, but now they send you a little decant, like a, I don't know if it's maybe 1 or 2 ml decant. It might have been 2 mils. But they send that with the bottle. And that way you can, if you did happen to blind buy it, you can actually test it out first before you open the packaging, and you could return it if you wanted to, which is brilliant. I think it's very smart of them. I obviously already knew that I really liked it, so I just went ahead and used that first before I started using my bottle. But anyway, long story short, I really like this. I've worn it a lot. It lasts all day long, all day long. No issues. I think it projects a bit. I don't think that it's going to like choke anybody out, but I do think people will be able to smell you if they're within a few feet of you at least. And like I said, all day long, like into the evening, I can still smell it. Fantastic. So again, that's from Andy Tower, and it's called Une Rose de Kandahar. In the number 1 spot is a creation from Quentin Biche. This is called Delina Exclusif from Parfums de Marly. And if you haven't heard about this, then welcome to FragCom. This clearly is your first video. No, I'm kidding. You may not have heard of this before. It's possible, but it's unlikely if you watch fragrance videos, because this has gotten a lot of hype. Actually, Delina, like the original, probably gets the most hype, but I prefer Delina Exclusif a little bit. So Delina Exclusif, they take out the rhubarb from Delina, and I do like it. I have travel sprays of Delina, and I wear that too. And if I had a full bottle, it'd be on the list as well. But I don't. I only have a full bottle of this one, and this is actually my second bottle of this one because I really like it. So with Delina Exclusif, like I said, they pulled out the rhubarb, and I don't remember, is pear in the original one? I don't remember. Anyway, there's pear in here, but they've added oud, but it's very light. Like it almost just gives it a slight woodiness, ever so slight. And there's also like vanilla in here. There's the lychee still that's in here, like the original one. And I think that there's a little bit of bergamot in the opening. There's probably some other stuff as well, but that's mostly what I get. This, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I think that this is a great scent for like an afternoon date. I don't think I would wear this in the evening. I don't think. Although a lot of people I think recommend Delina Exclusif for like nighttime because it does have the vanilla and oud kind of qualities going on. But like I said, the oud is just really soft here. It's not like when I smell this, I think because the lychee, the pear, I think the vanilla, I think those notes come out a lot more with the rose than the oud does. I don't immediately think rose oud combo when I smell this one. So to me, it's not as much of a like a really late nighttime kind of fragrance. I think it is more appropriate personally to me for like even daytime, but probably more like afternoon to early evening. And I just, God, it's freaking beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. On me, it definitely projects. It lasts quite a while on me. It fills the room. When I spray my fragrances, like when I sprayed all these on the test strips to prepare for this video, and then I, left the room, come back a few hours later, it's what I smell. I smell the Delina, so it definitely is strong. There's a few other ones that I think I could smell as well, kind of in combination with it, but the Delina Exclusif definitely makes itself known. So I just love it. I know, I'm sorry, it's cliche, but it's what I love. So that is my number one pick. It's my perfume boyfriend, Quentin Biche. Again, he doesn't know it. Don't tell him that I said that, or do. Maybe he'll be okay with it. But I love this fragrance. So well done, Quentin. Quentin and Sonia both do a lot of fragrances that I really like. All right, so those are all my rose fragrances ranked. Like I said, these are the ones that are like rose dominant. There are many fragrances that I own that include the note of rose, but these are the ones where like the rose stands out as kind of the main player. I would love to hear from you guys. What are some of your favorite rose fragrances that you have or that you've tested? Leave me a comment down below and let me know, because I do really enjoy the note of rose. I certainly have plenty, but I have fewer rose fragrances than I do certain other notes like vanilla. Probably, I would venture that maybe I have at least as many iris fragrances, I would guess, but we'll find out, because I'm going to do an iris one soon, especially because I feel like it's that time of year, like the irises are about to bloom, and it just seems perfect. So that's probably going to be the next one of these that I do, and I'll definitely do vanilla. But if there are other notes that that probably I have quite a bit of, or even if you don't know that you would like for me to do a video like this on, let me know in the comments as well, and I'd be happy to do that. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Also, I do have a Ko-fi account down there below. I don't need anybody to give me any money, but I do very much appreciate it. Several people have, bought me a coffee or a latte, and I really, really appreciate that. I use that money mostly to buy like discovery sets and things like that I can talk about here on my channel, because it's not a lot, but anything that people give is very much appreciated. I was actually shocked, like completely like blown away the first time somebody actually did that. I was like, oh my God, somebody used this thing. But like I said, I by no means expect it, and I'm always just completely floored when anybody buys me a coffee on the Ko-fi app. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you have a great week, and hopefully I should be back with a second video this week, not like last week with no videos. This week should have two, and that one's going to be ideally about the new Jo Malone fragrances. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you next time. Bye.